Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. So I purchased a Oculus Quest 2 around January, February. It was kind of hard to get around December, and I had been looking through programs, and it's part of what I've been looking for is like creative apps, and there was a few that I had found, but one that stood out as far as what I do for a living is Gravity Sketch. And they made it available and it was free, I think around January. I don't really know the full details because it's something that I'm still kind of trying to understand a little bit better. But jumping into Gravity Sketch, you'll see it's a full 3D modeling program, but it has its limitations, and I'm still kind of learning a little bit how to record on the Oculus to the computer. There are a few little different methods on doing it. So in doing this, I wanted to create like a Batmobile inside of there. This is my first attempt at kind of making an outline for the Batmobile, and it's something new. It takes a little bit longer for me to try to figure out methods and techniques and the hotkeys for using Gravity Sketch, because there's so many different little hidden buttons that are inside of there, like hold the trigger halfway and hold your controls sideways or angled, and over time it kind of gets a little confusing of where the actions are. But that's also me not understanding this program yet and still kind of learning it. But this was my first attempt at trying to just outline the Batmobile, just to see if I could do something. So what I'm gonna do here is kind of start from scratch in a little bit. This is a playback, and I'm just recording back over it. I just wanted to kind of show what I started with and what I wanted to go with. So I'm going to start a new sketch inside of Gravity Sketch, and if you sign up for their website, their cloud, you'll be able to do more than one file, I believe, because when I didn't sign up, it was like limited to 2 Gravity Sketch models, but after that they give you like a little bit more access to a lot of things. It's pretty cool. And so what I did was uploaded some of my references that I pulled off Pinterest. You'll see here a few of the Batmobile references that I'm gonna use. On the side you can pull out little tabs, and I love that it's like a virtual working space. And so what I'm gonna do is just rearrange some of these references to look at around the scene. It's a little different getting to understand using VR to sculpt, and it's a different kind of way of thinking, but it's also pretty cool because you can actually see in the Oculus what you're making. And I've seen some interesting stuff that people have created inside of this program. You'll see that if you look online, there's a lot of different methods that people use, different techniques, and that goes both ways with any 3D program that anybody uses. And so you'll see here I put on mirroring, and I'm still trying to learn the best way to record with the Oculus Quest, because there's an option to record inside of it, and the format is kind of square. It's not the full resolution, and this option that I'm trying to do is casting to my PC and doing that. So this Batmobile image right here that I'm going to use mainly as kind of a template, but I'm going to pull from the other ones. And in this video I'll mainly just get this skeleton of the model, and this just kind of show a little bit of a different way of like thinking when you do these models in Gravity Sketch. So you can pull out a little mannequin, put it on the side here, and it'll preview it. You do it 1:1 scale, it'll actually come out so that when you model it's not at a weird ratio of a scale. So that's pretty cool. There's little options in here to adjust as you go along, and I'm still learning a lot of the techniques inside of here. So this is also kind of me learning to use Gravity Sketch at the same time, but at the same time it's still pretty fun. So what I'm going to do here is skip ahead a little bit, and I turn on the world access, because there's a little bit of me trying to struggle to get this reference in there and make it snap to. and I needed to know where up and down was inside of the program. And so you can start seeing where I'm putting the Batmobile a little bit more spot on for the character. I'm really surprised how much you can do inside of the Oculus, because I've seen some people put a lot of detail into some modeling inside of Gravity Sketch, and that alone is just pretty cool. So I'm getting the Batmobile locked in. Got my tools. I'm putting it to planar, so I'm going to start using the planar tool. And what's cool about the planar, like it snaps to, and then you can actually draw on top of your model. So holding that trigger down halfway would snap it to the up, I guess, the green axis of Gravity Sketch. So really, all I'm gonna do right here is just outline the little car, the Batmobile, and just try to get everything kind of where you can see it. And what's cool is that once you see this in VR, it's just like, it's a little bit more like another dimension to modeling and seeing things a little differently. Learn that you can snap holding the trigger button before you pull it, and you can get a straight line. There's also axis constraints on certain things that you can do. There's a lot of little things here and there. But moving forward, I'm hoping to master all these different techniques that come along with this 3D program. The biggest struggle in this video that I found was the wheels, and not fully understanding how to lock them in. Or I've seen videos where different techniques of people using kind of like where you draw the tire in, but I wanted to try to get the model from a cylinder and just edit the model in there. But because you can actually do edge or loop cuts, and you can use the knife tool to cut the model geometry a little bit better. So I kind of put it down on the ground. I wanted to get like an idea where the car would be if I would outline it. So I just kind of outline it this way too for the ground, and using that. So mainly it's just kind of getting like the main features kind of set in. Just kind of gives you like a little foundation of where everything goes. What's cool is that you can select two of these lines and actually sweep geometry across it. It's pretty neat. I don't get that far into it. It's something I want to explore a little bit more on my own, and that way I'm a little more experienced, hopefully, once I get the car modeled out inside of here. You can import OBJs, and I'm not sure of every format, but you can import models too inside of Gravity Sketch, and that's pretty neat too, because I've seen people pull in their own stuff. And you could also pull in like textures in a way, but I really wouldn't want to go texturing inside of here unless there's more tools to use. I really don't. I love that you can model in here. That's the main part of it. So kind of putting the references aside now, I'm kind of going from there. Really, the template was just used for the very beginning, and after that I kind of block in everything else going from there. So I just grab out the parts and just push them to the side, and that seems to work. So you can already see like the Batmobile kind of coming to life. Now it's just kind of like sketching, like digital sketching in 3D. And what I love is that when you push your hand forward and back, you're sculpting, or you're actually kind of in all dimensions, all axes, because going in 3D, you're actually almost sculpting in a virtual space. So you can start seeing it, like the shapes come to life. And I start pushing and pulling little things here and there. But you can even refine all these little lines that you do inside of the program. So working on the back part of the car, you can actually draw the little bat wings, or the bat fins. I guess that's what you could call them. Just kind of drawing out little shapes here and there. We can actually get a little more detailed later on, but just moving stuff around. Everything is movable. Everything's like a almost like an Illustrator file if you do vector graphics inside of Illustrator, moving those little splines. So you can start to see the shape, and I wish there was an easier way to do the wheels. Maybe that's something I need to learn a little bit better. So let's see what happened here. I guess I went too far. I might have reset the what do you call it, where I was in 0, so I can center myself in the room. Sometimes it'll shoot you off in the middle of nowhere. But if you pull the both triggers on your left hand, you can actually see it at full scale. Given your characters at 1:1, it should give you the look of the car just right there. So I think I was trying to change something, or I was trying to see if I could position him a little bit better. So what you do is grab the model and then push on the left button, and it'll snap back into place. Right here I'm holding the left trigger and the grip button, and you can actually rotate as you turn your hand, and it'll like turn it on a little like rotation. It's pretty neat because you can actually get kind of like a quick visual, but actually like you're looking at it in real life. So that's pretty neat. So there's a lot more little details that I want to add as I go along in trying to complete this model. And it felt like even just getting to this stage was a lot quicker than trying to do something into a 3D program. A 3D program, I'm jumping left to right, top down. It just seemed a little bit faster doing it in here, because you can actually see what you're building right in front of you. And as you look at it, you can kind of get the idea, like, wow, this car is going to be massive, or this car is kind of too angular, or not working in this part, and stuff like that. The other thing is that there's materials, not many, but there's like a reflective, and there's a flat surface, and there's actually like a little flashlight, and you can actually move the light, the main light. There's not many lights, it's just the one light. And then your HDR, if you count that, it works to reflect a little bit better. But if you could import your own custom HDR, that would be so much that'd be pretty cool later on down the road, to be able to do that. Now you can kind of see the Batmobile kind of. And I was just trying to see, like, well, what if he needs to have a second partner, you know, like Robin or somebody, or I don't know. Maybe Batman wants to just sit in the middle and just be the only one. He works alone. So looking at the back, I wanted to try to fit in that the thruster that you always see. And then you can see the color was changed a little bit, so I just kind of get it back to the standard gray material. That way I can read a little bit better. So right now it's just kind of blocked out, but I'm pretty happy with where this has gone and where it is, as far as like the how fast you can just kind of come up with stuff. And I'm still moving stuff back and forth right here. I'm just kind of like, do I need that? Deleted it. And then I have these little points that I'm just that's so fun that you can manipulate even after. And this program is really cool. So moving forward, what I like to do is just kind of use these outlines as templates to where I need to build, and then build on top of that. So that'll be kind of like phase 1, phase 2, the surfaces, and phase 3, the details. And I'm not sure about the wheels. The wheels I could probably model somewhere else and import back in. I had trouble snapping it to the x-axis whenever I try to bring it in, and I struggle a little bit with it. You might see it in this video, some of the wheel, but you can see right here I'm just having fun with like shapes and defining where things are, and it's still bendable whenever you move it in there. Looking at the details, I wouldn't mind kind of doing like a low poly Batman character and stick them in here if the program can handle that many polygons. It'd be a good test to see where the limitations are. And I've seen some pretty heavy scenes out there on the internet, but I like to see the limitation myself, to see where that boundary is. You know, I did kind of copy one object one time just to see how many copies I could do until I started feeling the slowdown. But I was actually surprised on how many copies I could make till I got that slowdown. But so this part is still on the planar mode. So I believe there was something about it. I couldn't move it down since it was on planar, and that was pretty cool because it kept the model it kept it level because I drew a straight line, and that's pretty neat. So these little references, it's like a little workshop inside of this VR. Just looking around like, all right, maybe this can go here, maybe that can go there, and just kind of get an idea. So I'm putting the wheel inside of the center line right there to kind of get an idea, like, I like that wheel, and I might go that direction. But then again, it's always fun to draw that little Batman symbol inside of there. But this reference right here is like a Lego car, and I really love that model. It looks pretty cool. And I'm just kind of like looking, does that wheel look good there? I don't know. It's been done before, but I like that other one. It was a little bit more unique, a little different, and I was going to try to push a little bit something different. So I'm cleaning up the little shapes here, removing, kind of seeing what can be refined. There is like a simplify points, and it'll kind of take every other point away or something like that, but I don't really know how it works as far as like what it's basing on. Is it every other one, or is it 50% of the points when it says, you know, optimize it or simplify? So you can see that Batmobile right there is just like big. It's huge, but it's pretty cool. So I might squeeze it a little bit more after it's a little bit more fleshed out. That way it's not so wide. It's got to fit down the road, right? But then again, it could be like a tank. It could be like the tank Batmobile, right? So just kind of playing with the back area. I wanted to kind of like deform a little bit down. I might put like an engine or something in there, just kind of give it a little bit more characteristic, and just kind of play with that and go from there. But most of this video is just me kind of like tweaking the model. And there are plenty of cars online of other people doing automobiles inside of gravity sketch. It almost seems like that seems to be the go-to. I've seen people do shoes and backpacks and little things like that, and it's really neat what you can do. Really fun. So it's still kind of getting the driver area a little bit locked in. I want to make sure that it looks a little bit believable as far as scale. And the car is massive when you kind of look at it from this angle. It is really big. It's kind of wide. But then Batman, you know, he's going to take over the road. When you look at it, yeah, that might work. That might be like one of those crazy Batmobiles you see. Always see those, the car is always long, right? Like a race car. So this is where I start to try to do the wheels, and I struggle with this so much. Trying to lock it in, trying to rotate it, trying to get it just right, and maybe there's an easier way, but maybe in the future with one of the I don't know, updates, maybe they'll give a rotation tool to where you can just grab it and rotate it based on the axis. There is a tool in here that you can rotate it, but at the same time I wanted to snap to that axis as I build it, but it's fine for what I need. So you can actually modify these primitives if you put it to customize, and that's something I kind of learned watching other videos. I didn't really realize that was there until I saw it, and I was like, oh cool. And you can see the little primitive things in there. This is actually, that's one of the tools I mentioned about being like hidden. If you hold on your right hand the trigger and the grip button and swipe your hand left, these tools pop up. And each one of them they're really good tools, and this one does a rotation. But I was trying to snap it to, I guess, I didn't have snapping turned on, and so it made it a little bit more hard to get to 90 degrees. I turned it on in the settings after a bit, but I was trying to figure out how to get it to snap without going that route of turning a switch, but it seems I had to go in there. I thought if you hold the button, kind of like other programs where you can hold something to make it snap at a 90-degree angle, like most 3D programs will do that, but that's what it is. I'm still getting familiar. And you see the little tools at the bottom, you can pull those out and just kind of leave them out as kind of like your toolbox, like your virtual toolbox. They can just be floating there, and you can leave them where you need them, and they actually work. And there's more options inside of there, and there was the snapping. I turned it on to the 90, but since I drew it at a weird angle, it's 90 in that direction, but not 90 in the other direction, but at least it's 90 and facing right. And I just got to get it in there. I was hoping that I could scale it evenly, but again, there's still a lot of learning that I need to do in this program. I'm comfortable in most 3D programs, but this one's so unique since it is virtual, since you are working in a virtual space, since a lot of your hand gestures and a lot of your hand movements are very specific to doing a function. It takes a little bit more learning. It's kind of like learning a video game sometimes when you get a game with so many options and you're like, oh man. But once you play the game enough, you know how to play it, and it's not so hard after that. So you can see right here, I got the wheels kind of set in place and kind of getting an idea, and I want to modify it, but I want to see where the limitations are. So I was trying to move it based on this axis, and you have to turn on your smart grid or something like that. This is one of the options, to where you line up your hands and it'll snap to the X or the Y. But I didn't have the that option's turned on, so it wasn't going to work right here in this situation. So you're seeing me kind of fight it, and I'm like, come on, you got to work. So it's little things like that. As I get more familiar with this program, it won't be so much of a headache trying to figure it out. But then again, I don't really think of it as a headache. I think it's pretty fun just trying to learn something new and going forward with it. So I lost my little window, so I'm like, oh, my window's gone. But I think I'll pull it out again whenever I try to turn it on with the tool. If you lose a window, you can always go back to your little drop down and pull it back up and have it floating in the middle of space. You can see all my tools in the back, my references, and the little windows are there. And I grabbed this window, and Smart Move is what needed to be turned on. So now when you line up your hands with an object and put your hands stacked up on each other facing direction, it will actually turn into a green line or a red line or whatever line it's supposed to be. But you have to line it up within the X and the Y. And so I'm still trying to find in virtual space where's that line. Where do I need to grab it, release it? Because it's something about when you know, learning gestures or movements and stuff. You know, I'm hoping that later on it'll be like so I can see. Now you see the green, so it had to be lined up with the position of it. But I'm having trouble finding, I guess, the X. I guess there it is. And so I had to stick my hands the other way. And when you grab it, you can grab it and it'll move it on that axis. Very helpful to start modeling in this fashion. But I'm trying to grab it. And there's other little crazy techniques where you can repeat using this technique, you can repeat a model to go along that axis and copy at a certain space distance. So that's pretty neat too. And so you grab this and you can actually slide it across on that axis. Still learning how to scale. I want to scale it from center point, and I don't know if that's a setting I need to find how to scale on there, but I just want to kind of see the wheels. And after a while, I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna keep modeling. And I was like, all right, here's the wheels. It's kind of sunken into the ground now, that way I modeled it. So maybe later on I'm going to turn off that environment so I can just kind of see it for what it is without that ground plane, because it's kind of sinking down. Or I'll grab everything and pull it up. That's not a big deal either. But I'm trying to see, is this the best method to do a wheel? And there is like a template for the car. You can get like specific settings for the setup. But in this situation, I just really wanted to kind of free flow with creating this Batmobile. You can see I'm just kind of trying to see. What I'm trying to do is do edge loop cut, but since it has a center point, it doesn't really see it as a loop. And a lot of programs will do this. Sometimes, I guess ZBrush will sometimes do it, and sometimes different programs you'll get like a weird thing where you want to cut on a loop, but technically I guess it's not a loop because it's connected at the point, so it doesn't see it as a loop. So I'll just go ahead and smooth it out and start cutting in little points here and there. But then I go to the revolve tool to try to see if that's a better method to making this wheel. And a lot of it's just trying to see what's best. Right here I wanted to scale it evenly, and there is like a revolve tool inside of here. Maybe that's what I need to do to actually get it to scale right. But you get the idea of the wheels in there. I'm gonna move on to I guess the other part of the revolve, just to see if that's the best way to build this tire. The wheel really kind of stumped me, and I just wanted to kind of figure out like different techniques, because that's the only way you're going to learn. In any program, if you're going to try to learn the program, usually is just by playing around and just trying to figure out what does it do. So I went this method. I'm like, let's see if this works. So I'm going to center the wheel. And so again, you got to align your hands to snap it to the X. Now that I got the wheel kind of aligned somewhat, there you go. It's very particular about getting that axis. You need it to snap, and there you go. Kind of got it right there. So I'm going to try this method. Maybe it's a little bit faster, but it is weird drawing in 3D because you're pushing and pulling and trying to shape. And you can see right there, I was like, that didn't even work. So I'm trying to push it down along that axis, that center line, and just kind of get something blocked out, roughed in. And I could always take away points and add points and go from there. I really wanted just kind of something to kind of look at and get an idea. So, but yeah, I think probably go ahead and stop about this point. Just kind of really just trying to get these wheels in there and just kind of get them to a point. But hopefully this kind of piques your interest of doing 3D inside of an Oculus Quest 2 that I never thought I'd be doing. I'm actually surprised with what you can do inside of this this virtual headset. It surprised me a lot on what it's capable of doing, and there's still a lot more that I keep finding, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. So, but yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. I just wanted to kind of show where I'm going with this Batmobile, and hopefully I can get something modeled out in it as time goes by and I learn a little bit more. But I just wanted to show this skeleton of the model. So I appreciate you watching, and hopefully you learn something. I'm always learning something as I jump into these programs, and yeah, hope you have a good day. Thanks for watching.